Well, hey there team, welcome back to the channel and welcome to my overview of Brotato. So you may have missed it, but we're kind of bringing back the older, shorter form content that I've been doing for the past year. We had a bit of an experiment with reviews. We don't need to dig at that, but I figured I'd go back to a game that I'm quite familiar with. In fact, I still play this almost daily. Steam says I've got 130 hours clocked up. So yeah, I thought I'd shout this out while I'm getting back into my rhythm, getting my patter back. Suffice to say, I think Brotato is fantastic. It happens to be on sale at the time of this video, so if you haven't got it, you should get it. It's only a couple of dollars, and to me, it holds a very special place in my heart. It's one of those in-between palate cleanser type games, you know, zone out, do a run, turn Spotify up to 110% and blow out your eardrums. You know, sometimes you just need a bit of a zone out game, and this has been that for me for, you know, easily the past year or two. It went full release in 23, and it has had a DLC come out, which, I mean, I guess we can touch on briefly. I think it's great. It is a, what would be a good term? It's kind of like a through the looking glass DLC, in that it serves those that are already well and truly invested in hoovering up this game, like me. You know, I've unlocked a bazillion classes, lots of weapons. I know the game pretty back to front, even though there's still stuff to unlock. That DLC is for me. It adds a new biome called the Abyss, like a curse mechanic, and we'll circle back because I want to talk about what Brotato is raw, but the DLC is kind of relevant, and I noticed it was getting negatively reviewed a bit. So I think it serves those that have hoovered up Brotato and just can't get enough. If you're new to this, you've never seen this, and you're going to jump in, don't get the DLC, I would say. Like, as opposed to whether you need it or not, I would say don't, and if you do, turn it off. Learn the game, enjoy the game with its base content, work your way through it, and then get the DLC as a bit of a reward to someone that has now 50 hours in Brotato. That's my strongest recommendation. Sort of makes me think of things like Risk of Rain DLC, and funnily enough, this sits in that same sort of space, albeit the runs are much shorter and it's single player only. Okay, so what is Brotato? Well, it's probably my favorite run-based, simple, build-centric roguelike type games. Funny I mention Risk of Rain because, you know, we use the music in the background for a lot here. Risk of Rain, as much as I love it, it's difficult to really build something in that. You kind of just go with what gets thrown at you. You pick your character, you try and sort of meld a build around them, but I don't know what the term would be, but your agency in developing a run-based build is actually quite low in Risk of Rain. Or at least in the context of the conversation comparing it to this. Brotato is very much shop-based. There's a lot you can do with learning the systems and working out your build. But at its fundamentals, and I'll have some B-roll running. I think I'll probably use the footage I recorded this morning. I was doing like a sailor run. I don't think I've ever played Sailor, who gets like bonuses for, I was using blunderbusses in this case, which is interesting. It has a reload mechanic related to picking up material, but generally speaking, the broad idea is that you will pick a starting dude, you can just pick a generalist or whatever, pick a weapon from the table that it offers you, pick a difficulty level, and off you go, and you essentially do these like minute-long waves where your guy auto shoots at the nearest target or auto stabs. You can take melee weapons and all that as well. So you just move around, you wiggle around, you try and stab and clear waves, and they drop materials, you pick them up, they go into your sort of pocket bank, and at the end of the minute you go to a shop, couple of choices to pick from, and then you can re-roll. There's also, as you level your guy up from killing dudes, you get XP, which allows you to just augment stats specifically, and again, you can re-roll, there's rarities, all that sort of stuff. So, in a way, from an elevator pitch perspective, it's what you would expect. It's same old, right? However, it's clean. It knows exactly what it is, and it is fundamentally very functional. Like, these don't sound like glowing positions, and yet this is one of my favorite games. But I guess that's the point. There's not a lot of fluff. It's just mechanically sound, and within that, they build upon it. Like, if you saw the character select screen, there's dozens of characters, and they all are essentially mod kits in a way that augment everything. Like I mentioned that you, separate from the shop, you have XP for leveling up, and there's a character, God, I don't even know off the top of my head, but it might be like the mutant or whatever, and you're kind of heavily disincentivized not to buy from the shop. It might be that there's a huge penalty or a price percentage increase, and he levels up faster or maybe gets more bonuses from the leveling. So it sort of inverts where you spend your money. I mentioned that I was playing this sailor thing with blunderbusses and doing naval damage against cursed characters. So in that, you sort of want to lean into the curse mechanic that was introduced in the expansion. But that's pretty much it. That's Brotato in a nutshell. You do 20 waves, and they escalate, and you can sort of get a bit of a rhythm for what's going to spawn. You have all different dudes that will kind of test and push your build. So say you want to be stationary. There's a lot of upgrades you can get that, you will get extra armor if you don't move, that sort of thing, or regen or whatever. So maybe you just want to sit still and shoot everything. Well, the range dudes will keep you in check, because if they outrange you, they're just going to shoot you to death, so you need to start moving, you need to start thinking about it. Likewise, there are heavier dudes, there are faster dudes, there are like actual really big, they're not quite bosses, but they'll charge at you. There are other guys that will move around the map and they'll sort of like lay eggs, and so if you don't kill the egg, it'll turn into a real problem, kind of a mini boss. So maybe you have to proactively go around and deal with that. They all have their different telegraphs, whether they're shooting little balls or these red lines or what have you. Colliding with dudes loses you health as well. And that's it. You just have to come up with your own build, whether it's leaning into whatever character you played. Like I played this one called a builder the other day, which I hadn't played before, because, well, to wind that back, you can go into a structure sort of system. You can get turrets and things like that, almost like a pet build in a way, depending on the weapon that you carry, because you can carry 6, and often you're incentivized to carry all of the same one to lean into it, or at least within the racial group of it. Like it might have tool or primitive or medieval as a prefix, and it sort of gives you a set bonus. So if you actually have all 6 medieval weapons, you'll get like plus X HP or something like that, right? But yeah, so you can have tools that generate turrets, and then you can work around that. The builder thing was actually banned from having any turrets at all, but he had a special builder turret that if you leave money on the table and you don't pick up the pickups, they'll get scooped up and get converted into stats for the turret, and the model kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that was really interesting and just cool. Basically trying to stay still in the center and not pick up any of the money as you grow an XP level, what is effectively a pet turret. But then, of course, you're not really making a lot of money, so you need to figure out how you're going to offset your economy in the game. And like one of the stat lines is called harvesting, which, say you have 10 harvest, at the end of a wave, you're going to get $10. And then I think it increments by like 1%. So it would then go up to 11, right? So it has a sort of compounding interest component. So you have alternate ways to make money. Same as luck, you could kind of see luck as an eco stat as well, pushing out the loot table faster than it actually grows, because it has, a background mechanic managing it where you're pretty much not going to get rare stuff in the beginning. It's going to be all whites. But by the end of it, you're pretty much going to be getting non-stop, purples, reds, that sort of thing. Anyway, like I said, short little video giving you an idea of this game. I highly recommend it. Like I said, I play it daily still. Love it to death. It's a couple of bucks. I think you're mad not to at least give it a go, check it out, and maybe find yourself here curious because it's on sale. And hopefully, honestly, I've convinced you to pick it up, because I just don't see why you wouldn't at least give it a go if you've got a few dollars to throw around. Anyway, team, I might just leave it there for the time being, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.